Good to go, Chris?
Yeah.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning. I would like to have a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Approve the minutes of the February 10th, 2025 regular meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approve the resignation of Chris Hansen, Conservation Technician, effective February 18th, 2025.
Oh, I hate to see that one go.
Yeah, did we do like an exit interview or anything?
Benwell.
Yeah,
We'll take
okay.
care of that.
Good deal. I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright. Approve the monthly report from the jail, Teller.
So basically what that is, it's an in and out tracking system of funds when someone's arrested.
Okay,
It goes into a machine,
just that.
everything's calculated out when it's pulled out, and so they've had it in place for, I think, 3 years. So basically also what this is an
It
FYI.
just keeps track of their funds and then they get it back and they check out.
So this is-
Yeah, unless they owe money, then that gives the jail the right to take that money for like
Good
housing.
morning.
Yep.
So this feels like a reporting requirement to make sure it's publicly stored somewhere.
Yep.
Gotcha. I'll make
I
that.
guess it kind of eliminates questions too.
That's why we have it,
Yeah.
because we've had that happen.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Approve the letter of resignation of Dave Peck, Madison Township Clerk.
He has been clerk for years and years, but he has decided he wants to retire. One of the trustees at Madison Township is Laura Marine.
She'd be excellent.
She's the former treasurer basically for Infinite School, and she is interested in taking that position. So they're also actively looking for another trustee. If they cannot find one, they're gonna reach out to us and then we'll have to advertise. So
Do they have the ability at the township level to appoint her as the new clerk?
the paperwork has to come through you guys. They'll bring me the paperwork. You guys will have to formally approve her.
Because I think she'd do a great job.
Yes, and same thing with the new trustee, if that's the route they go.
Yeah.
If they find one, then it comes to you guys, you formally approve it.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate the-
Yep.
the process there.
Okay, so I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I thank you for the service.
Yeah, he's excellent.
Food disallowance of family farm credits. We had a few after we
Yes.
went through it, and you like me to go over the names of the ones that we disapproved?
Sure.
How did we come about figuring out that they're not allowed this?
There is a huge
Yeah, I was trying to read through it.
clean process of how the relationships can be approved. And once it falls out of the family and starts getting rented out to, say a neighbor farmer or something like that, then it loses its allowable.
Sure.
And this is something that Maureen goes through at Maureen in my office. Goes through on a yearly basis.
Yeah, okay, so she's got validated reasons why they qualify
Yeah.
for this.
Yep.
Wow. She gives it to us, me, and I went through them
Okay,
with her cheat sheets.
Mhm.
And the few that I had questions on, I went in and met with her and went through it and got her opinion also. Next year, I think I'll share the wealth. I think Don and Clayton used to do it together for the family farm credits.
oh, yeah. Very nice.
Always fun. But,
So it seems like you said, just listing out the names of the, individuals, the names of the corporations at this point would be the acceptable documentation, since you've already done the background work.
Yeah.
The work on it.
the first one is for Karen Martin, who actually resides in Denver, Iowa. And next one is for the McCardle Family Farms. And they were there in Independence. And then Amy Copenhaver Trust. Is the third one. So it's only three of them. I guess we need a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve the disallowance of those 3 family farm credits.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Okay, next items for discussion, place on file the following manure management plans. Quanski site, Como Township, section 12. Tenderloin Ranch LLC, Middlefield Township, section 13. Perry Township, section 21. WFB Farms Incorporated, Perry Township, section 15. Myers Fork, Buffalo Township, section 26. L&S Monahan Farms Incorporated, Middlefield Township, section 35. And Flexenauer Farms, Middlefield Township, section 3.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Discuss the equipment donation agreement with Northeast Iowa Agency on Aging. You want to explain that, Dawn?
So Northeast Iowa Area Agency on Aging, no longer cooks in that kitchen at the senior center. And so, and I think, and Don can help me out here too. When, back in the 1980s, I think, from what I understand, the Council on Aging, Buchanan County and Northeast Iowa Area Agency on Aging went through and updated that kitchen. So some of the equipment was purchased by Northeast Iowa Area Agency on Aging, and some of it was purchased by Council on Aging. And, but they, at this point in time, they don't need the kitchen anymore. They only need the microwave to heat up meals. And the one convection oven, I believe they use to heat up some meals. But so the meals are delivered from a different site, and so they want to just gift all of the equipment and all of like the knives, forks, spoons, whatever else is in there to the county.
The confection oven, they use the confection oven to heat meals
Yeah,
as well as a microwave.
so,
But even though they still use that, it would be basically property of Buchanan County.
right.
Okay, so the only thing I can see that would need to be done is an inventory. Anything that's possibly over $1,000, we need to do the documentation for a fixed asset.
Okay, it's
So,
all used.
yeah,
I don't know.
But it still has value.
and then plus add it to our insurance.
And when Don and I conversed on this earlier, we did forward a copy of the agreement up to Sean
Okay,
and had him and Josh take a look at it just to make sure the wording is
correct,
correct, that we don't get embarrassed on something like that.
okay.
But I think their whole idea is they don't want the asset anymore,
Right.
and the county can certainly utilize some of that stuff.
I don't hear the items that have huge maintenance costs or annual costs or
Well,
anything.
back that one up a little bit.
Couple items that need to be.
Convection oven could get expensive.
It is,
For replacement.
the hood over the stove has all, the sprinkler system is all new a few years ago. And, 2 freezers are not used that belong to the Council on Aging, walk-in freezers.
Well, the one was bad, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Shut that down.
Be padlocked to be shut. The one freezer refrigerator has, if the door shuts and you're inside, you can't get back out. So that got padlocked shut. It's a safety hazard. I don't know, at some point in time, if we just take the door off of it or what happens, but
Is it a walk-in or is it?
it's a walk-in.
Oh, I see.
2 of them. There's actually 3 up there. One belongs to the county and the other 2 belong to the council, or belong to NEI 3A or.
Okay.
But if this agreement goes in place, then they would belong to the county,
So we would be responsible for disposal, I guess.
or I wonder if they would be any value of selling, or I don't know.
Yeah.
The non-working walk-in, probably not.
I would agree with
It
that.
would probably, might have some scrap value.
I was just wondering about the freon, maybe somebody could make use of that.
I think it's all leaked out.
They're all even disconnected. They're even, unbeknownst to me, person went in and disconnected them all. The wiring and
Yeah, you gotta watch that men's group up there
that's right.
with both eyes.
I would entertain a motion to approve this contingent upon the county attorney's approval of the donation request.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, discuss cash flow analysis, and I guess you asked for this, Keith, so I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, so usually when you look at these repetitive budgets at government levels, you try to minimize what you call your savings account, you know, how much funds you keep on file or on in the funds so that you're not overtaxing, you're trying to utilize all of the revenues and funds and savings that you have. So what I'd recommend is that I go through back, usually takes me about 10 years worth of data and try to figure out those cyclical points to say, okay, well, this fund is typically low right before we get taxes in October, and this fund is typically low in this type of year. And to be able to create that model to say, okay, at what point we're typically looking at these low bounce. And then as a board, identify what we need to have as an emergency fund in our accounts. And then to be able to figure out what that difference is, create that target every year and somewhat of a policy and make that target. So you folks are okay with that, I'll start getting into
We
the.
currently have cash reserve that are, I don't know, call this pretty much untouchable, right? We try not to touch them.
We touch them if we have to do budget amendments.
Right.
Yes, and you know, as I presented the budget last week? I mean, we're going to be dipping out of some of those reserves right now, and I think was it the general fund, we're gaining like $7.37. And since I have taken office, that has been the whole goal, not to overtax and throw money in these funds. But yes, the reserve is our savings account. God forbid we get hit with a natural disaster and we got to rebuild the courthouse. If we don't have any reserves, that doesn't happen.
Then the other side is, Brian said, we had the discussion that if it wasn't an STB, I never get those acronyms right, or a farm to market projects, then if it was a local system project, then we would have to have cash reserves.
If it's on the local system, in other words, if I'm replacing a bridge on a local road, even if I've got federal funds involved, I have to pay for everything up front, and then I can get reimbursed back. Now,
For a percentage.
well, now we'll go back to FEMA, which is a different story.
No, I'm just saying, every grant was always a percentage, like it's never a full out grant, it always seems like.
Yeah.
It was 80-20, but then when they came up with swap, then they was going at 100%. And so bridges right now are at if I'm using the federal bridge fund, which is HBP funds, then I can get the 100% right now because swap is working for the bridges, but that's the only area.
So the perfect financial storm for us would be if we had a natural disaster and then we had a local systems bridge project or something like that that went over as well that year. Then we would have to use our reserves, our.
Or you couldn't use roads reserves for,
No, you can't.
Okay,
because that's a separate fund.
Yep.
It's set up by the Code of Iowa per fund, what can be used and what can't be used out of those funds, whether it be general sub,
this one.
rural, or roads.
So, yeah, the concept behind this is to look for those minimum values that we decide that we would want to create a policy to say, we need to have this much on hand, this should be our target. So.
Without having those reserves, when the courthouse had that water problem, we could have been.
Correct.
That's what.
Yep.
We'd have been borrowing money, and that's not it. Then you have to pay interest. Instead of getting interest paid to you.
So one of the questions with Farm Bureau folks, which that meeting is tonight, they asked is what your targeted, fund balance at the end of the fiscal year, so we'll have to address that conversation tonight as well. This kind of gets into that conversation, so it seemed like an appropriate time to bring it up.
What's your answer?
Well, if you don't mind, I'll start looking into this. They usually go at the revenues and expenses and fund balances, and then use, create this modeling to go back 10 years and say, okay, this is kind of what we're seeing in each of these funds. Let's take a look at it. Let's look at, these balances and say, okay, this is the time of year we need to worry about this fund. This is the time of year we need to worry about that fund.
Well, basically, every fund you worry about the end of February.
Okay.
And
Saving money till March.
yes, and about the end of August, because our taxes come in twice a year, and there has been times where I've had to hold claims due to fund balances.
Exactly. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, in my case, my summer is usually where I really spend the money, and that's the rock resurfacing. And if I'm doing any major asphalt work or even my concrete patching, that if you're running tight on your budget, you start cutting back on what you're doing and patching roads up. And that's not the way to operate either. You should have plenty of money in there to patch roads, to maintain.
We would all love to have plenty of money in these funds, but the fact of the matter is, Brian, that you, just like everybody else, get it twice a year, and that's why.
Yep.
And I understand that, yes, in the summertime, it hits and it hits hard, but that's where you have to keep an eye on whether you're okay in your budget amount. You still have to make sure your fund balance is okay.
I know that my biggest issues, and I'm glad Don's sitting here because Don's been one that's been concerned. We haven't been replacing equipment like we probably should. That's why we're running trucks over 20 years old. And so I gotta sit here really in February, March and make decisions whether I get equipment that year or not, or equipment that fall. And then you start telling me what delivered after October 1st.
So I'll probably start putting together some graphs and things like that, bring it back to you folks and discussion again later.
And I did invite Brian to attend the Farm Bureau meeting tonight, because
I'll be there.
they always have a lot of good questions about roads.
That's one of their big concerns always. And then the other thing is I've got at noon, I'm supposed to speak at Rotary on what's going on this summer.
You'll have a lot to talk about.
What's that?
Sounds like you'll have a lot to talk about.
Oh, well, I didn't put together a PowerPoint for that, but if they want one, there's one in my pocket.
We don't need a motion or anything on this, do we?
No, sir.
I wouldn't think so.
Okay. Public comments. Mr. Shanka. Welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to. Could I come up?
Sure, absolutely.
Here's what the Council on Aging spent in the last couple of years doing improvements to the inside of the building. And I know our request, barely covers it, so the only thing is, we paid for the total amount of the carpet clean in the Shyster's room, and we will be reimbursed half of that because we agreed with the Shysters to pay for half of it. And the Shysters are gonna pay for the other half.
Well, going forward, we'll get one free carpet cleaning from CNC's floors and more. So they'll do that once a year going forward. Then the cleaning.
Have you looked at timing and what time of year you're gonna do that?
Well, it's gonna be after the construction.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna recommend running businesses that the floors get destroyed in the winter time. Later spring is the best time to do floor maintenance like that.
Right, and that's probably when we'll do it. And then plus I had to do an extra, cleaning for the bathrooms because like all the tile grout was
He can get us hard surface floors too, right?
Yeah, well, and he recommends that we, once or twice a year that we wax that in there and with not just one layer of wax, but like 3 layers of wax. So probably have them do that too, because we can't seem to get Ben and Lyle over there to get it done.
The building has really been let go. And I tried when I
Saving
was a
money.
supervisor, yeah, saving money, but it is a county building and it does represent the county, and
Pay me now or pay me later.
that's right.
And we can start having like more functions there too, like there's something else that came up the other day and somebody said, well, you could also use a senior center. Oh, for like during emergencies, if we needed to evacuate or if we needed to have health.
Center or something like that.
Right, yes. Like, oh, yeah.
So I do a lot of repair work up there myself. The county does not get charged for it, or the council on aging. No. It's just like the other day, we repaired a light. I called John and put a ballast in one of the restrooms because the light didn't work, but he was good enough to allow me to use Lyle to do it. And we have an agreement with the Council on Aging that they pay for half of the towel use and all of that stuff, which is minimal.
Well, we appreciate you and whoever else assists you on those things, cause it's one of those facilities that's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And
We have the largest meal site in NEI 3A. And we have the only council on aging
Wow.
out of all the other counties that are in the 18 county group. We're the only ones that have council on aging.
We need to review the bylaws too.
Pardon?
I said we probably need to review those bylaws also.
Yes, as soon as I can find somebody who wants to sit down with me and do that. I have failed to gather up enough people at one time.
You say review bylaws and people scatter, like they run the other way, like, no.
That's right. And people say they will, but they don't. Well, I hope this was
no,
informative.
It
thanks.
sure is, yeah, thank you. Thanks for your service work over there.
You're welcome.
Well, you guys got a good group in that Shyster group in the mornings, and they meet every day, right?
Yes, no, Monday through Friday.
Like,
Yeah.
And they appreciate donuts.
They get them. Pantry. They get donuts and all kinds of pastries from the food pantry. They go every Monday and pick up. Oh, one other thing. NEI 3A has donated to us a refrigerator out of Dyersville because they're closing their meal site over there. It's a refrigerator freezer. It's fairly new. I have a couple of problems. I am willing to go get it. My problem is I can't lift because of my back. So I need somebody with a strong back and a weak mind to go with me.
We do have, my husband and I do have a utility cart,
Yeah.
if that's.
I have one also,
Do you? Okay.
but you have the tie down on it?
Yes.
I would use it.
Just let me know, I can haul it in.
How big a freezer, or how big a fridge, how big a freezer is it?
I don't
Is that
know.
a standard?
I asked for dimensions or Dawn.
Yeah, she
And
said
we
it's
have-
standard. I keep getting, it's standard.
I can handle it. Oh, yeah.
All right,
That'd be great.
You got a pickup? I don't have a pickup.
then I have a pickup, yes.
Um,
I absolutely cannot do hardly any lifting with my back, or I'd pay for it for 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah, you don't want that.
I would try to pay for college, just lift refrigerators and so.
All right. It has to be gotten between the 18th and the 26th. And I need directions. I need an address.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, address would be nice.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
That's all I have.
Anything else for the, public comments?
Kroll did sign their contracts yesterday afternoon late. And the deadline on that is about 2 days. The only concern was they left 800,000 on the table. In other words, next bid up was 800,000 more.
Works out good for us.
Yeah, you always find that they're a little more challenging during construction. When they're squeezed that way.
That's what I was wondering. I mean, how did they cut that 800,000?
Good question. Somebody messed up, I think.
So then what happens?
They're stuck with it. But like I said, you'll find them, you'll have to watch them
Time's closer.
closer. You have to watch them a little closer.
Oh, yeah, that'll be a little slower.
Well, time
Ending
that
date, they want to start?
they wanted to do the pre-construction as soon as possible, but they didn't, when they called me, I said, you're not supposed to talk to me yet. We haven't signed the contracts. And he said, well, I thought such and such had. And then that was last week. Matter of fact, they were probably Wednesday when we were having a safety meeting. I stepped out. At any rate, it's signed now. And so I'll get it, having computer gremlins with it right now. I called the DOT and they said, Brian, you're right. Looks like a computer gremlin going on here. It takes me right to where I sign it. And then the computer's cursor doesn't come in where you can't sign it. So when I get back, I'll call them up and we'll try and get it resolved. That was all this morning. And they're wanting to do the pre-con. We got one other thing going on too, and that is they're replacing the concrete at the scales on 380. And they're looking for a place to lose that dirt down there. And I'm telling them all, because I've had about 3 or 4 contacts on this. They can put it on the outside of my curb and we'll level it down. I'll come in and see, and I talked to Cheryl, we'll see it later.
Okay.
What the advantage is, that way if a car goes off the curb, you've got the flatter slope, it's safer. What's it costing me? Seed, or Cheryl and seed.
Brian, last, year we took down those trees out the, county home cemetery.
Yeah, okay.
You're inquiring about getting the stumps out of there.
I don't have any real equipment to do that.
The city has a stump grinder they purchased. Through Parks and Rec,
Mhm.
that you might be able to work out something with Bob Beatty, I don't know.
Yeah, you work out something and I'll we'll have a training session on it.
Right, I'll follow up with them.
Yeah, you follow up with them, we'll see what we can do in a training session, because I got little tractors.
Little tractors. I didn't think there's anything in secondary roads that was little.
My mower tractors on the rock road, they're only about 60, 80 horsepower. Today's world, it's a different definition.
Okay, anything else?
Jessup, sent an email to me about Jessup's baseball and softball complex and that CAD grant. So I'm sure they're gonna put something together and come talk to us at some point.
Right. Yeah. Good. You gotta put this in front of the full board,
Yeah, right. We've had more rumblings, more conversations about wind turbines lately, so I don't know what that is all about. But talking about Buchanan County and wind turbines,
moratorium.
we've coming up on expiration or?
It'll be, we're still working on comprehensive plan, so we probably need to extend it, the moratorium for another year.
That's what's going on.
I think it starts in May, doesn't it?
April or May, something around there.
regime, that continues being a big thing or not.
That's why I was surprised to hear more rumblings about it.
We're
Oh,
all trying to get them in before
yeah.
something goes away.
Speaking of energy, Dwayne Arnold is going to be revamped and I think it's gonna come on board about 2028.
Oh, and you hear the date.
So, and they've started doing some hiring for that. Which, I mean, those are nice jobs.
Yeah, I started hearing about the data centers that obviously would utilize that energy, so.
Yeah.
Maybe wonder about the wind
There's
turbines.
nothing else. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
And Dwayne,